Okay, so this is lesson 2.7. We're going to use the things that we talked about. Here, Donald.
There's one right here.
We're going to use the things that we've talked about already in this packet, like factoring. And how do we use that in the real world? Why do I ever need to learn this, Miss Miriam? Can you put your phone away, please, Kate? So one of the reasons that we talk about this lesson is so that you don't ever have to say, when am I ever actually going to use this in the real world? This is a practical application of why we would do that, okay? So we have been talking about this shape that's called a parabola. We've been talking about this for almost 2 weeks here. We know that this point up here is called the vertex, right? This guy up here, call it the vertex. And we use special letters H and K. H is going to stand for the time, okay? H is going to be the time. K is going to be the actual height. You need to know that. H is going to represent the time that it takes an object to get up to the maximum height. And the K value is going to actually represent what that height is. Because you would agree, our whole scenarios today are going to be like throwing something up in the air and it coming down. Okay? So this is the maximum point at which it gets to. Your x-axis is always the time. Your y-axis is always going to be the height. Okay, that's why the x or the h value is time, and height or the k value, that's a y there, is your height. So we're looking for these words, maximum height. Whenever you see maximum height, you should be thinking, that's the vertex. Okay? Anytime you see the words maximum height in your story problem, you should see maximum height and the vertex. Think that. I know oftentimes students hate story problems. Okay? Anybody agree in that camp that you hate story problems? So my job as your teacher is to help you break through them so you don't hate them anymore and so you feel like you can conquer them when you get to them. I know that you don't like story problems, most of you, and so I want to help you get through that. Okay, so we're going to work through this together. When it says maximum height, guys, when we use the vertex, remember to get the vertex started, we have to use opposite of b over 2a. Remember that? That's how we are getting started with our vertex. So anytime we see maximum height, we should be thinking opposite of b over 2a every time. Okay? All right, let's get into some of these story problems. Zach throws a melon. First of all, it's pretty strong to be able to throw a melon. But anyway, Zach throws a melon upward from the top of a 1,200-foot tall building. The height of the melon measured in feet, t seconds after he threw it, is measured in this formula or this equation. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what's going on. Zach is on the top of a cliff. I'm sorry, of a building. So everyone, do your best to draw a building over here. This building is 1,200 feet tall. And Zach is standing up here. I'm not asking you to be a professional drawer. I'm just asking you to draw, please, on your paper. Because you're going to have to draw on your test. So we're going to practice this. And Zach throws the melon up and then down, right? What goes up must come down. Okay? So this point right here, this maximum, that's the point we're going to be looking at. Okay? So that's going to be our maximum. It says, how long does it take for the melon to reach maximum height? All right, so I see the words maximum height. So I'm thinking what formula? Opposite of b over 2a, right? But then we see this word how long. So we're thinking maximum height, but are we thinking about the time of the maximum height or the actual height of the maximum height?
The time.
It says time, right? Because it's saying how long. So we're looking for time, which is the h value, right? We talked about that up there. So I'm going to go ahead and do opposite of b over 2a. That's going to give me my time, or my h value. You can put an x there. we're using this formula. We're not going to let the 1200 throw us off. We're using this formula. Here is our A, B, and C. So our B value is 160. So when I plug it in, I need to plug in a negative 160.
What? Oh, well, yeah.
This is from the first lesson we did, right?
A, B, and C?
A, B, and
Yep.
C.
Over 2 times, what's our A value? Negative 16. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and solve that out. You have a calculator. Negative 160 divided by 2 times negative 16. That's what you're solving. Daniel, what do you get? 5 exactly? Anybody else get 5 exactly? Okay. So 160, negative 160 divided by negative 32 is 5. Okay, so that means it takes 5 seconds to reach maximum height. All right? So because this is a word problem, because you're in Algebra 2, I'm not just concerned with can you solve the problem, but can you interpret your answer as well. So on every single one of these questions, we're going to answer in a complete sentence. So we would say, here's a hint, you can start your sentence by restating what the question just asked. Okay? 160 divided by 32 is 5. Is that what you got, Brooklyn? Okay, do it on your calculator. What's 160 divided by 32? Okay. So it takes 5 seconds for the melon to do what? Good, to reach the maximum height. You will not receive full credit if you do not give me a sentence. Because we are past the point of now just solving problems out. We have to interpret our answers as well, okay? Perfect. I love when that happens. Okay, the next one says, what is the maximum height? So there's that maximum height again. And this time, though, it says, what is the maximum height? So it's asking us for the time or for the height? The height, right? Which is which variable in our vertex? The k value. Do you guys remember how to find the k value?
We take the h value and then we plug it into the x.
Good. Do you guys remember that? You took the first coordinate of the vertex and you plugged it back into the problem for the x value and you evaluated that. Do you remember that? That gave you the second coordinate of your vertex. What did you say? Yeah, so see how your formula up there says negative 16t squared plus 160t? So we found 5 is our t value, right? T stands for time. And so 5 was our time. And so 5 is getting plugged in for our time here and here. See how that works? So 5 is going in for our time here and here. So in part B, we're going to rewrite our equation. Negative 16 times 5 squared plus 160 times 5 plus 1200. All I did was plug in my 5 value. Now go ahead and solve this out. Y'all have calculators. Make sure you do orders operations and you don't forget a sign. Here you go. What's negative 16 times 25, Lexi? Negative 16 times 25? What'd you get? Negative 400. Okay. What is 160 times 5, Dalton?
800.
800 plus 1200. Negative 400 plus 800 is 400. 400 plus 1200 is 1600. Okay, but 1600 is what? What is 1600? What kind of height?
The,
Good.
value.
The maximum height of the melon is 1600 feet. So we're going to write that in a sentence. The maximum height of the melon is 1600 feet. And if you're taking good notes, you should be able to do just fine in your homework. Okay, questions on part A or part B? We're just finding the vertex, which we've been doing for a long time.
Yeah, our future story problems gonna be this simple.
It's going to ask this A and B in the same question. So it's just a two-part question. I just broke it up here, okay? Okay, letter C says, how far off the ground is the melon after 3 seconds? Okay, if we think about this, how far off the ground? Are they asking us for time or for height here? How far off the ground? That's our height. Now, do you see maximum height anywhere in this sentence? So we should not be using opposite of B over 2A here. Okay? But it says after 3 seconds, it's giving us what? Time. It's giving us time. And what do we know represents time in our equation up here? The T, right? All of the T's represent time. So we're going to plug in what for our time? 3. So we're going to do exactly what we did in part B, except we're going to plug in 3. And guys, let me explain this real quick. This H of T thing up here, that means what is the height at a specific time. Okay? That's what this H of T means. So what we're going to do is we're going to say H of 3. All that means is it's a label. What is the height at 3 seconds? Okay, so you're just labeling it. You're not going to solve this out. This doesn't make 3H. It's just a label that says this is the height after 3 seconds. So now we're plugging our 3 in. Negative 16 times 3 squared plus 160 times 3 plus 1200.
No, I have a question.
Sure.
Why wouldn't you do the H times the time in here? In B.
I'm not sure what you're asking. Like, why is there not H of 5 over here?
Yeah.
We just left it off on accident.
Okay.
So this is just the height of, it's just a label. So it's just explaining this is the height at 5 seconds. So yes, we could have put it there. And should have.
Do we have to have it there?
I'd like you to get into the practice of it, yeah. I mean, if you don't, it's not wrong. But I'd just like you to get in the practice of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and evaluate this. Let your I'm not going to give you the answer. Let your calculator go.
We're still working on it?
Yep. John, what is 9 times negative 16?
144,
Negative 144. Okay. Donald, what is 160 times 3?
Wait, why is it negative?
Because you're 16 negative.
You said 480?
Yeah.
Okay. Plus 1200. So negative 144 plus 480 plus 1200. Aspen? 1,500 what? 36. Did anybody else get the same thing?
Yeah.
1,536. We have a few. Some of you are still finishing up. Okay. Who wants to give me the sentence for this? Mitchell?
So the melon is 1,536 feet
Off the ground?
off the ground.
What is?
in 30 seconds.
The melon gets
After.
300. Oh, wait.
So-
The melon gets
So let's start this way. We're going to practice this. Here's the thing. There's no one right way to do this sentence. Okay, there's multiple ways. So if I say this, after 3 seconds, what would you say, Mitchell?
The melon's off the ground, or 1,500.
Perfect. So after 3 seconds, so we're restating the question. The melon was 1,536 feet off the ground. Good. After 3 seconds, the melon was 1,536 feet off the ground. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, letter D. How long does it take for the melon to hit the ground? So there are 3 types of questions you're going to get. You're going to get how long for the maximum height, how tall is the maximum height, and how tall it is or how long it takes for it to hit the ground. If the melon is on the ground, what is the height of the melon? 0. Right? So if the melon is on the ground, the height is automatically 0. So anytime you see hit the ground, make yourself a note. Anytime you see hit the ground, it means your height is 0. And so that whole h of t thing becomes 0. So you're setting your equation, set your equation, and I'm going to abbreviate equation, equal to 0. That's how you set up every problem that says hit the ground. Okay? So our entire height is 0. So I have 0 equals negative 16 t squared plus 160t plus 1200. If you're having trouble distinguishing between your t and plus sign, please make your t curve at the bottom. Now, we know how to solve a problem like this. This is actually why we've been solving equations like this for a good week and a half. What's the first thing you always do when you're solving an equation in Algebra 2? What? The greatest common factor. Because if I were to try to x factor this, guys, those are going to be some big numbers, right? So what do you think might be the GCF? Aspen?
16.
16 is a good guess for us to figure out the GCF. Okay, so let's see, does 1200 divide by 16? Okay, so we're going to divide 16 out of the entire problem. Now, we're actually going to divide a negative 16 because that first term is negative and we want to make it positive to be easier on ourselves. So we're going to divide the entire problem by negative 16. Let's go ahead and factor out the entire problem by negative 16. And if you factor it out, it goes where? Goes out to the front. So we get a positive t squared minus 10t. What's 1200 divided by negative 16? Negative 75. We have equal to 0. Now, we can divide by 16, right? If we get rid of 16, if we divide both sides by 16, what's 0 divided by 16? 0. So really, this 16 is gone. So we can kind of forget about it. And now we know how to factor t squared minus 10t minus 75, right? Let's get our x factor going.
Oh, wait, what?
Where did I get what from?
I mean, I noticed the 16t squared, and then because we divided, wait. Oh, okay. Sorry, making things sense in my brain.
Okay, so we're going to divide, what two numbers multiply to get negative 75 and add to get negative 10? Lexi says negative 5 and positive 15. Anybody agree with that?
I have faith in Lexi. I agree.
Negative 5 and a positive 15.
No, that would make negative 10. It
Mmm.
would have to be positive 5 and a negative 10.
positive 5 and a negative 10. I'm sorry, negative 15.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Be careful with your signs.
If the bigger number is positive.
Then the number is going to be positive. And you want it to be a negative 10. Okay, so now we can take the shortcut, right? I can just say t plus 5 and t minus 10. We still have it equal to 0. Vinny?
I have a quick question about the shortcut actually. What determines if you can take that again?
If the a value is 1, so if in front of the t squared, if that's a 1, then you can take the shortcut.
Okay.
If not, you have to split the middle. Okay, what do we do at this point to solve? How do we get t by itself? If we FOIL it, we're going to get right back to where we were. Okay, remember we split it here, and we set each of them equal to 0? You guys remember that? T plus 5 equal to 0, and t minus 10 equal to 0.
So we're doing minus 5 and plus 10.
So I get t equals negative 5, and t equals positive 10. Where am I getting what from? From right here. Because I add 10 to both sides.
And then, wait, what?
Oh, it should be 15. Oh, thank you.
Wait,
No one. Why didn't anybody else stop me?
because remember you were seeing if we were paying attention.
And you only Lexi was paying attention.
Good job, Lexi.
Because we have faith in Lexi. She got us. She's carrying the squad right now.
Sorry, t is 15. Okay. We're solving for what? Are we solving for height or we're solving for time? What are we doing? Time, right? Because it said how long does it take? Can time be negative?
No.
So does one of our answers not work then?
Yeah, negative 5 doesn't.
Right? Because you can't go back 5 seconds, right? So our only answer here is that it takes how long for the melon to hit the ground? 15 seconds for the melon to hit the ground. So that's going to be our sentence. It takes 15 seconds for the melon to hit the ground. Okay? All right, flip it over. Let's go to example 2. So we're talking about the same kind of stuff. Take a breather, folks. Okay, here we go. Miss Brandy is standing on top of a 1,680-foot cliff. Guys, this number is not to necessarily tell you that this is what you need to plug in. It's just giving you some information. So we can kind of think of it not as useless information, but we are not going to be plugging that information in, okay? She throws a baseball upwards. At every second, she measures the distance of the object from the ground. Exactly t seconds after she threw the ball, the height is measured in this. So again, just like we learned in the previous one, the only thing we need to know from this story problem is what? What's the only thing we need to know up here? The equation. That's the only thing that's going to help us right now. All this other stuff is just a setup that's more information than I need. So all we need, the questions and information is going to be given in the actual questions. So from the story problem, the only thing you need is the formula. Okay? So it says find h of 3. And 3, remember, if it's in here, represents time. So we're taking something after 3 seconds. We're figuring out how tall it is after 3 seconds. So this part says just evaluate the equation when t is 3. All right? So let's go ahead and set that up. We're going to set up h of 3.
Are we going to get an equation to every single story problem?
Yes. Yep. And we're going to plug 3 in for where? Good, our t values.
So, okay, never mind.
Okay, use your calculator. Are you guys getting negative 2,000? I'm sorry, positive 2,304? Positive 200? You should have 2,304. Check your calculations if you did not get that. What's our sentence going to be here?
After 3 seconds, the object will be 2,304 feet.
4 feet where? Off the ground or in the air. Yep. Okay, so after 3 seconds. Is it an object or a ball? Let's see.
Baseball.
Oh, she threw a ball. Okay, baseball or object, whatever. The ball will be 2,304 feet off the ground.
I was gonna say above.
Yep, that's fine. It's probably a better word, actually.
So would that be the maximum height?
Does it say anything there about maximum height on letter A? Okay, but what does letter B say? Letter B says, oh, we weren't there yet. Now we're getting there. Okay, letter B says, what is the maximum height of the ball? So what words do you see there? Maximum height. How do we start a maximum height question?
Negative b divided by 2a.
Opposite of b over 2a, but let's talk about this. Does it say what or how long to the maximum height?
What?
What? Is that the h or the k?
K.
That's the k value, right? The what is the k value? But in order to find the k value, what do we have to find first?
The h.
Don't we have to find this h value, right? Because we plug the h back into the problem to find k. So this one's kind of a loaded question. We have to find h first. And we find h by doing opposite of b over 2a. Then we have to plug h back in to figure out k, which is the maximum height. Okay? So let's go ahead and find opposite of b over 2a. You know how to do that. We're using our same equation from up here. Opposite of b over 2a. Once you find out what that value is, you're going to go ahead and plug it right back into the equation. When we get done with this question, we're going to take a break. So don't waste time.
Okay, so for maximum height, you find the h first. What we said. Or
So is it asking you what is the height or how long is the height?
what is it?
What is the height, right? Which is the k value.
Okay.
But we can't find k until we find h first.
Okay.
Because we have to plug our h back in. So
Okay.
we're going to do opposite of b over 2a first. Yes, Kate. Hey, there shouldn't be a lot of talking. You should be doing opposite of b over 2a.
Do my what first?
Ignore the t and the squared for the opposite of a b or
Yes. For this part,
So
yes.
that's-
And then when you plug it in for the t.
Look at the formula. You'll get do your opposite of b over 2a from that formula. Yeah, you find your a, b, and c value and plug it into that formula.
Make that first, you know.
gotta help me.
You got it.
No, I don't. My mind is blank right now.
Hey, Carolyn, can you wait so I can give her the right paper?
Now do I, when I find it, do I plug that in for T?
Yep, once you find your H value, we're plugging that back in for T.
So basically, I do all that math again, except with,
So negative 256 divided by negative 32 is what, guys? Positive 8. Did anyone else get 8? Or just Leanna?
I thought I got negative 8.
What's a negative divided by a negative?
Oh.
No, we found our, this is how long, right? This is the H value. Do you think the maximum height of the baseball was 8 feet? I mean, I would hope that mentally you can throw higher than 8 feet. Well, we can do some bodybuilding classes after school. But, right, 8 feet doesn't seem like it's very tall, okay? But 8 feet, 8 seconds makes sense that it's going to take 8 seconds to get to that maximum height, right? You're going to launch that thing up and you're going to count to 8 and then it's at. Right, okay. 8 milliseconds maybe. Okay, so what are you going to do with this 8 then? Good, we're plugging it in here. All right, everyone plug it in for your T value. Once you have your sentence written, let me know. Okay, so if we do our calculations here, if you want to pause and then figure it out, that's fine. We get 2,704 feet. So we know that the maximum height of the ball is 2,704 feet.